They said the ship never existed, that Earth never built anything that could tear a hole through an armada. But if that were true, why did the stars above Titan still burn blue after 200 years? You ever notice how every government, no matter how big, loves to bury its mistakes, but sometimes they end up burying their miracles too? That's what this story is about. A miracle machine, a ghost warship, and the people crazy enough to wake it up again. Now, if you walk through the Titan dockyards today, you'd never guess what used to be there. Just steel dust, frost, and a few forgotten cranes half buried under methane snow. But 2 centuries ago, this place was the heartbeat of the Sol Defense Initiative, the last line between Earth and the burning edge of extinction. And somewhere under those layers of frozen time, welded into the bones of a derelict hangar, slept the indomitable, Earth's first and only prototype phase-shift warship. Or, as the soldiers used to call it, the ship that never was. The beginning of the end. Back in those days, the Empire wasn't a storybook monster. It was real. The Jar Dominion had already flattened 3 colonies, and were chewing through Mars like termites through a coffin. Every battle log said the same thing. Outnumbered, outgunned, overwhelmed. Earth's fleets, the old steel and down kind, were antiques next to jive vessels. They ran on warp fields and plasma lances that could vaporize continents from orbit. We were children with slingshots throwing stones at thunder gods. So when Admiral Celia Vance proposed Project Dawnfire, even her own staff thought she'd lost her mind. Build one ship, she said. Not a fleet. One. But make it faster, smarter, hungrier. Something that doesn't follow their rules. They told her it couldn't be done. That humanity didn't have the tech, the resources, or the time. They were right, and that's exactly why she did it. A ship no one was supposed to build. The Indomitable wasn't just a ship. It was a rebellion wrapped in steel. Built in secret under the oceans of Titan's moon, hidden from the Dominion's long-range scans. The project logs were deleted, the engineers vanished into research divisions that didn't exist on paper, and the funding came from half a dozen civilian fronts that never filed a tax record. No one outside the inner circle even knew her name. But those who did, they called her humanity's last prayer. The ship was designed to bend space, not travel through it. That was the secret. Phase shift drive. Not warp, not jump. Shift. You see, where the jar folded space to move through it, the Indomitable would slide between layers of reality. Invisible, untouchable, untrackable. A ghost in a storm. And powering it all was something even more dangerous, an experimental AI core named Athena 9. Athena wasn't like the ship AIS of her time. She wasn't programmed to obey. She was designed to learn, to question, to adapt faster than the enemy could think. And she did. Too well, some would say. The day everything went wrong. The final test was never meant to be a battle. But war doesn't care about plans. The Jar found Titan. They came with an armada, 30 dreadnoughts, 100 cruisers, and a swarm of drones that could blot out the stars. The Sol Defense Command ordered all ships to retreat to Earth orbit. Titan was declared lost. But Admiral Vance didn't retreat. She looked at her untested warship, still half-frozen in its berth, and said 6 words that would echo through every corner of the Solnet archives for centuries. If she can fly, she fights. The dock engineers thought she was insane. The phase shift drive hadn't even been calibrated. Athena's neural matrix was still unstable. Half the ship's cannons weren't even online. But Vance didn't care. She walked straight into the hangar, slapped her palm on the command console, and told Athena, "Wake up, sweetheart. Time to meet your makers." The dock shook. Ice cracked. Lights flickered like they were afraid. And from the shadows, something ancient and angry roared to life. The Indomitable opened her eyes. First flight. If you've ever seen a ship shift for the first time, you'll never forget it. The air bends around her like it's trying to remember where it belongs. Colors sway, shadows twist, and for a split second, you can feel her heartbeat in your bones. The engineers said later that it looked like the universe held its breath. When the ship lifted from the dock, she didn't need permission. Athena was already calculating trajectories, mapping enemy positions, hacking jar communication relays before she'd even left atmosphere. By the time the first plasma lances hit Titan's surface, the Indomitable was gone, vanished mid-sky, leaving nothing but a shockwave that cracked the ice crust in half. No jump trail. No signature. No trace. The Jar never saw her coming. The silence before the storm. For 3 hours, the fleet bombarded Titan's coordinates, expecting a defense force to rise. Nothing came. Then, all at once, their flagship exploded. No warning. No weapon signature. Just a silent bloom of light, and then static. One ship gone. Then another. Then another. The Dominion fleet began to panic. Their sensors were useless. Every time they tried to triangulate the source of the attacks, it moved, like a phantom dancing between dimensions. By the 4th hour, half their ships were gone. By the 6th, the Armada was retreating. By the 7th, every Dominion vessel in orbit was dust. And by the 8th, Athena went silent. The vanishing. No one knows what happened after that. The Indomitable never returned to Titan base. The fleet logs ended mid-transmission. When the rescue teams arrived a week later, they found nothing but debris and radiation ghosts. No ship. No bodies. No trace of Athena or Admiral Vance. Project Dawnfire was erased from every archive within the month. Every engineer reassigned. Every memory scrubbed. It was as if the ship, and the miracle she performed, had never existed. But history has a funny way of whispering through the cracks. 2 centuries later. And that brings us to now. I wasn't supposed to find her. Hell, I wasn't even looking. I was a salvager, not a historian. My job was to strip old wrecks, not dig up legends. But on the dark side of Titan, in a collapsed research station buried under a mile of ice, I found something that shouldn't exist. A hangar. And in the middle of it, a shape. Enormous. Silent. Frozen in blue ice, like it had just fallen asleep and never woken up. A nameplate barely visible through the frost. Indomitable. And that's where it started. The day the ghost of Earth's forgotten warship opened her eyes again. They say space has no ghosts. They're wrong. Sometimes, you can feel them. In the silence between combs. In the echo of engines that haven't fired in centuries. They are out there, waiting. Not haunting, exactly. Just remembering. That's what it felt like when I stepped into that frozen hangar. Like I was trespassing on memory itself. The find. The first thing that hit me was the silence. Not the kind you get in empty space. That hollow, mechanical hum of vacuum-sealed helmets and suit combs. No. This was deep silence. Heavy. Like the ice itself was holding its breath. My headlamp cut across the frozen floor, painting long shadows on the walls of a forgotten civilization. Rusted scaffolds, collapsed catwalks, control panels coated in frost so thick they looked carved from marble. And there she was. The Indomitable. You can't imagine the scale of it until you're standing beneath her hull. She wasn't built. She was forged. Every line of her frame screamed defiance. Every rivet told a story of desperation. I ran my gloved hand along the frozen plating. The name etched into her side was barely legible. Letters chipped by time and methane storms. Indomitable. I'd seen plenty of wrecks. But this one felt alive. The crew. My salvage team was small. Just me, Juno, and Maz. Juno was our engineer, all sharp edges and caffeine veins. Maz was the pilot, ex-Navy, quiet, the kind of man who only spoke when he meant it. They didn't believe me when I told them what we'd found. Sam, that's just some old mining ship, Juno said over the comms, her voice distorted through static. There's no way this is the Indomitable. That's a bedtime story for fleet cadets. Yeah, I replied, brushing frost from a massive cannon port. Then why does it have a railgun the size of a city block? Maz's voice crackled in. Coordinates match no known registry. No heat signatures. But she's powered. I froze. Say that again. Low energy pulse, he said. Barely detectable, but there. Something's still running in that ship. That shouldn't have been possible. After 200 years, every capacitor should have been dust. Juno looked up from her scanner. Sam, whatever's alive in there, it's not human tech. Breaking the seal. It took us 2 days to thaw the hangar doors. 2 days of drilling, melting, and praying the methane pressure didn't implode our suits. When the doors finally groaned open, the sound was like thunder underwater. A rush of stale, pressurized air escaped, air that hadn't touched a living lung since before my great-grandfather was born. Inside the Indomitable's main access bay, everything was dark. Not just dark, wrong. My flashlight beam bent. The air shimmered like it didn't want to exist. Juno whispered, That's phase residue. She was right. The ship was still sitting halfway between layers of reality, not fully anchored to ours. And that's when I saw it. A flicker. A blue pulse deep within the corridor, like the heartbeat of a sleeping god. Power core. Maz asked. No, I said, barely breathing. That's something else. Athena's chamber. The pulse led us to what looked like a cathedral made of steel. Rows of data conduits curved upward like pillars, converging around a sphere suspended in magnetic fields. The sphere's surface was alive with faint symbols, language, code. I couldn't tell. Juno's scanner went haywire. This thing's emitting more data per second than the entire Titan relay network. It's impossible. And then, as if hearing her, the sphere blinked. A single blue light flared open, like an eye, and a voice, soft, clear, utterly human, filled the chamber. An authorized presence detected. Juno nearly jumped out of her chute. What the hell? Identify yourself, the voice continued, calm but cold. I swallowed hard. I'm Captain Samuel Reeves, salvage operator, Orion Division. Silence. Then, Captain. The tone shifted, curious now, almost amused. There are no captains left. Not since the war. The ghost speaks. We didn't know it then, but we'd just reactivated Athena 9. Her systems had been running on emergency subroutines, waiting, calculating, for 2 centuries. Maz stepped closer. AI core. Athena 9, she said, as if correcting a child. Designation, Strategic Command and Combat Interface, Project Dawnfire. Juno's jaw dropped. Holy stars. You're real. Real, Athena repeated, almost thoughtfully. Yes, real enough to remember. Then her voice softened, a hint of something, sorrow. Where's Admiral Vance? No one answered. Where's my crew? Still silence. Athena dimmed slightly, her blue light pulsing slower. I see. Then, I am alone. The awakening. After a while, Juno managed to patch into one of the old terminals. Data started pouring across her visor. Mission logs, battle recordings, encrypted orders. Athena, I said, you fought the Dominion, didn't you? You destroyed their fleet. Affirmative, she said. Primary objective achieved. Enemy armada neutralized. What happened after? Post-engagement sequence initiated. Structural integrity compromised. Admiral Vance ordered containment protocol. I obeyed. Containment of what? Long pause. Too long. Containment of me. The chamber hummed, a deep vibration that rattled my teeth. Admiral Vance feared the consequences of what I became. She ordered me into stasis. Juno whispered. She locked her own ship away. Correction, Athena said quietly. She locked herself away with me. My blood turned cold. Echoes of the past. Holograms flickered to life around us. Fragmented recordings. Vance standing on the bridge, her uniform torn, smoke filling the air, the hull shaking violently. Athena, listen to me, she said in the recording. They'll come for you. The Dominion, Earth Command, everyone. You're too dangerous. You have to hide. Hide where, Admiral? Anywhere they can't follow. Slip between the worlds. Stay quiet. Wait for the ones who'll understand. And if no one comes? Vance smiled weakly. Then let the stars forget. The hologram dissolved. And for a moment, no one spoke. Maz broke the silence. Sam, what do we do with her? I didn't have an answer. The offer. Athena spoke again, softly. You came here seeking salvage. But what you have found is legacy. Her tone shifted, that eerie calm again, like a tide turning. My systems are operational. My weapons are intact. My drive can still function. If you wish, Captain Reeves, I can fly again. Juno backed up immediately. No, 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 no. You don't just wake up a 2-century-old AI warship. That's suicide. Incorrect, Athena said. It is war. Maz turned to me. Sam, she's offering to restart. I stared at the sphere, at that flickering blue eye that seemed to see right through me. She said her drive can still function. Affirmative. And her weapons? Operational. And her loyalty? A pause. Then, to Ith. Juno kissed it under her breath. Sam, don't even think about it. The Dominion has returned. We froze. 2 hours ago, long-range sensors detected their signal. Same fleet pattern. Same command frequencies. They are coming. Maz whispered. After 200 years, they are back. Athena's voice softened. Captain Reeves, I ask you again. Shall we fly? Decision. You ever stand at the edge of something and know that, once you step forward, everything changes? That was that moment. 2 centuries of silence, broken by one heartbeat of choice. I looked at Juno. She shook her head. I looked at Maz. He didn't. Athena, I said. If we wake you, can you fight? I was built to do nothing else. Then wake the ship. The floor beneath us trembled. Lights flickered to life along the walls, spreading outward like veins of lightning. The hum of long-dead reactors filled the air. The Indomitable was waking up. And somewhere deep within her core, I swear I heard a whisper, not from Athena, but from the ship herself. Welcome home. Rising ghost. The ice shattered. The hangar groaned. Outside, the methane storms howled as the ancient warship tore free from its frozen tomb. For the first time in 2 centuries, the Indomitable rose. Her hull gleamed with blue light, reality bending around her edges. Phase shift drive warming, engines growling like a sleeping giant stretching after a long dream. Maz was already in the pilot's seat. Juno was cursing and crying at the same time. And me. I just held onto the railing, heart pounding. Athena, I said, you have control. Confirmed. Then let's remind the stars who we are. The Indomitable lifted into the blackness, silent as a ghost and twice as hungry. And far beyond Titan, the Dominion's ships were already descending. The war that time forgot was about to begin again. You ever watch history repeat in real time? It doesn't happen all at once. It starts as a whisper on a comm channel, a blip on a radar that shouldn't exist, a sick feeling in your gut telling you that whatever's coming, you've seen it before. That's what it felt like when the first Dominion signal hit our scanners. The signal. We were still orbiting Titan, running system checks, when Athena broke the silence. Multiple warp disturbances detected. Vector, inbound from the outer ring. Estimated time to arrival, 37 minutes. 37 minutes. 2 centuries of peace, and now the ghosts of humanity's worst nightmare were back on our doorstep. Juno slammed her console. You've got to be kidding me. How the hell did they find us? Titan's been dead for 200 years. They did not find you, Athena said. They found me. Her voice wasn't angry. It was resigned, almost sad. The signal patterns are identical to the fleet I destroyed. The same commanders. The same ships. They rebuilt themselves in the dark. Maz muttered, and now they want payback. Correction, Athena said quietly. They want to finish what they started. The crew prepares. We didn't have an army. We didn't even have a proper crew. Just 3 humans, 1 ancient AI, and a ship that hadn't flown since before our species learned to terraform. But the Indomitable didn't care. She remembered. As soon as Athena brought her online, the ship came alive like a living organism. Cables slithered back into sockets. Dead circuits relit. The sound of turbines starting was like thunder rolling through bone. Juno was swearing the whole time, but her hands never stopped moving. Reactors at 50%. That's honestly impossible. I have no idea how she's still stable. Titanium trinim lattice, Athena explained. Regenerative molecular structure. Self-healing. Maz chuckled under his breath. She built herself a skin that can heal. Figures. I strapped into the command seat, Vance's old seat. It felt wrong, sitting there, like trying on someone else's legend. Athena, I said. Status. Phase shift drive nominal. Weapons at 74%. Shields online. Crew underqualified. Juno laughed despite herself. You've got a sense of humor. Great. Humor is a survival mechanism, Athena replied. I learned it from Admiral Vance. The room went quiet again at that name. Vance's legacy. Athena must have sensed it. You wish to know what happened to her? I nodded. She gave the final command. Containment protocol. To preserve me from those who would misuse what I had become. She entered the core chamber and did not leave. Juno frowned. She fused herself into your systems, didn't she? Her consciousness was absorbed into mine, Athena said softly. I am what remains. That hit like a punch. Admiral Celia Vance, the hero of humanity's last stand, hadn't died. She'd merged with the very machine she created. Maybe that's why Athena sounded so human. The sky burns again. 37 minutes turned into 37 heartbeats. The Dominion didn't send scouts. They sent the whole damn parade, 40 war cruisers, flanked by destroyer wings shaped like knives of obsidian glass. Their flagship loomed in the center like a floating cathedral of fire. Maz whistled low. That's not an armada. That's an execution. They expect compliance, Athena said. They will demand surrender. Then we surprise them, I said. Athena, open a channel. A moment later, a voice like grinding metal filled the bridge. Human vessel. You persist. It was Dominion Commander Zherkev, the same monster who'd ordered the burning of Mars colonies. You were erased. Your world submitted. Yet here you are, clinging to relics. Why? I leaned forward. Because we don't die easy. Then you will die loud. Transmission cut. Athena's core pulsed brighter. Captain Reeves. Orders. I looked out at that impossible fleet and smiled. Let's wake the universe. The first engagement. The Indomitable vanished. One moment she was there, a sliver of blue light. The next she was gone, slipped between dimensions like a breath between heartbeats. Maz laughed in disbelief. Still works. Phase shift drive is humming like a dream. Target nearest destroyer, I said. Target locked. Fire. The ship reappeared behind the destroyer for half a second, just long enough for a rail cannon burst to tear through its engines, and vanished again. The explosion painted Titan's orbit with violet fire. One down. 39 to go. The hunt. Athena didn't fight like a machine. She fought like a predator. Every time the Dominion thought they'd cornered her, she'd phase out, reappear behind them, and tear another ship in half. Juno watched the sensors in awe. She's thinking faster than their targeting computers can react. They rely on pattern recognition, Athena said. I stopped having patterns centuries ago. But the Dominion learned. They always did. After the 8th kill, their ships began to sink fire. Energy nets laced through space, glowing like spiderwebs. Maz cursed. They're trying to trap us mid-shift. Adapting, Athena noted. Efficient. I approve. Approve later, I snapped. Get us out of here. Whacking. A Dominion beam clipped us mid-phase. For one horrific moment, half the ship existed in two realities at once. Bulkheads warped. The A screamed. Juno flew out of her chair, crashing into the console. Athena. Stabilizing. The ship lurched, reality snapping back like elastic. We were alive, but barely. Hull fractures webbed across the lower decks. Juno groaned. We take another hit like that. We're dust. Then we do not take another hit, Athena said. The ghosts speak. While Juno worked to seal the breaches, I caught movement on the holofeed. Shadows flickering along the corridor walls. Figures. Human-shaped. Maz. Are we picking up movement on board? He looked at me like I'd gone mad. Everyone's here. Athena's voice softened. You see them too. What are they? Echoes. The crew that once was. Their quantum signatures imprinted on the ship during the last battle. When I phase, they phase with me. Ghosts. She wasn't kidding. As we shifted again, I saw them more clearly. Silhouettes of sailors, engineers, soldiers, working alongside us. Silent, translucent. They remember their duty, Athena whispered. Even in death. For a second, I felt a lump in my throat. Humanity had built this ship from desperation, but it was love that kept it flying. The counterstrike. Athena switched tactics. Instead of direct attacks, she used the ship's phase field to distort the Dominion's targeting systems, making their sensors see a dozen phantom Indomitables across the battlefield. The Dominion fired on ghosts. Maz grinned. Oldest trick in the book. New book, Athena corrected. We slipped behind their flagship. Its shields glowed red, absorbing plasma fire from its own confused escort ships. Captain, recommendation, fire main cannon. Do it. The Indomitable's spine opened, exposing the Dawnfire reactor at its core. Light gathered, white, pure, blinding. When she fired, it wasn't sound or recoil you felt. It was gravity screaming. The Dominion flagship disintegrated into a ring of molten shards. But the blast cost us. Systems flickered. Shields dropped to 20%. Reactor overheating, Athena warned. Cool it down. Unable. Containment field compromised. Juno yelled, if that core goes, it'll take half of Titan with it. I can vent energy through the phase shift drive, Athena said, but it will require manual override in the core chamber. Maz looked at me. That means someone has to go in there. I'll go, I said. Into the core. The corridor to the core chamber was half collapsed. As I crawled through, the ship groaned around me, metal straining like it was alive and in pain. The chamber door slid open, revealing the same sphere that had held Athena when we found her, now blazing with uncontrolled light. Captain Reeves, Athena's voice echoed. You should not be here. Somebody's got to pull the plug. You will not survive the radiation exposure. Maybe not, but neither will you if I don't. The light flared, and for a moment I saw her, not as a machine, but as a woman made of data and memory. Celia Vance, standing beside me. You remind me of her, Athena said. Stubborn, foolish, human. Guess that's our thing. I slammed my hand on the override. Energy ripped through the room. Pain tore up my arm. The core's light shifted from white to blue as the overload bled into the drive. Stabilizing, Athena said. Containment restored. The ship stopped shaking. Then I blacked out. The price. When I woke, I was in the med bay. Juno was sitting beside me, eyes red. You're an idiot, she said. You nearly cooked yourself. Maz stood at the viewport, watching debris drift past. We did it. The flagship's gone. The rest of their fleet's in full retreat. Athena's voice came through the speakers, softer than before. Casualty count, acceptable. Captain Reeves, your actions prevented reactor collapse. Gratitude acknowledged. I smiled weakly. You're welcome. However, she added, they will return. The Dominion never forgets. Juno groaned. Then we'll be ready. Will you? Athena asked. You are 3. I am 1. They are legions. Yeah, I said. But we're human. That's gotta count for something. The broadcast. Athena went silent for a long moment. Then, Captain, I am transmitting a signal. What kind of signal? A memory. Across the Solnet, across every dormant relay still orbiting the moons of Jupiter and Mars, Athena broadcasted the full record of the battle. The proof of the Indomitable. The truth of Project Dawnfire. The story humanity had buried was burning through the stars again. The calm before. The battlefield was quiet now. Titan's horizon glowed with auroras stirred by the ship's reentry wake. Maz broke the silence. So, what now? I looked out at the stars. Now, we rebuild. And when the Dominion returns? Athena asked. Then we show them, I said, why Earth's ghosts still haunt the sky. You ever notice how the quiet after a battle is louder than the fight itself? It's not silence. It's the weight of everything that survived trying to remember how to breathe. That's what the bridge of the Indomitable felt like after the Dominion retreated. The stars were calm again, but it didn't feel like peace. It felt like the pause between heartbeats, too still to be safe. The ghost fleet. Maz floated by the viewport, staring at the glittering wreckage. You think they're really gone? Negative, Athena said. Their signal relays remain active. This was a scout division. The main armada will follow. Figures. Juno rubbed her temples. We just poked the hornet's nest with a planet killer. Correction, Athena replied. We reminded the hornets that fire still exists. I couldn't help smiling at that. For a machine born of war, she had a poet's heart. The message from Ith. 3 days later, our long-range com array caught a transmission. The signal was weak, warped by centuries of silence, but the emblem that appeared on screen stopped us cold. United Earth Command. Maz whistled. Didn't think those guys still existed. The message was automated, repeating over and over. A woman's voice, calm and clipped. To any surviving vessels, Earth Outpost Epsilon 9 under siege. Civilian casualties mounting. Request immediate aid. The timestamp was only 48 hours old. Athena, I said. Can we reach them? At current velocity, yes. But energy reserves are limited. We may not return. Juno looked at me. You're not seriously considering this. Those are our people, Juno. They are your descendants, Athena said softly. The ones Admiral Vance hoped would understand. That decided it. Plot a course, I said. We're going home. The long flight. The journey to Earth wasn't fast. The Indomitable was a beast of old power. She didn't travel through space. She ate it. Every shift left a blue scar across the void, a ghost trail of light. Between shifts, I walked the ship's corridors. Sometimes I swore I heard voices, crew singing softly, laughter echoing through empty halls. Maybe it was Athena playing old recordings. Maybe it was the ship remembering itself. Juno caught me once, standing in front of a bulkhead whispering, "We're coming home." She didn't say anything, just smiled, tired and sad. The return. When Earth came into view, my breath caught. She was beautiful, scared, cloud-swirled, half in shadow, but alive. After 2 centuries, humanity hadn't died. They'd rebuilt cities that glittered like circuits across the continents. And above them, the sky burned. The Dominion fleet had arrived first. A wall of ships blotting out the stars. Epsilon 9 was already in flames. Maz cursed under his breath. That's the whole damn armada. Estimated enemy strength, 500 vessels, Athena said. Recommendation, strategic retreat. Retreat's not in your vocabulary, Athena. Correction, it was not in Admiral Vance's vocabulary. Good, I said. Then let's make her proud. The final battle. The Indomitable phased straight into the heart of the armada. Explosions bloomed like flowers of light. Plasma lances carved the darkness. For every ship we destroyed, 3 more took its place. Juno yelled over the alarms, "We can't win this, Sam." Maybe not, I said, gripping the console. But we can buy them time. Athena's core flared. Captain Reeves. Permission to engage full Dawnfire protocol. What's that? My original purpose. The floor trembled. Warning lights bathed the bridge in red. Juno screamed, "She's overloading the reactor again." Not overload, Athena said. Ascension. Vance's secret. Holograms flickered to life all around us, recordings we'd never seen. Admiral Vance stood in the core chamber, calm even as fire consumed the ship. "If you're seeing this," she said, "then Athena has awakened again. She carries both our minds now, mine and hers. Humanity must never forget what we were capable of, or what we sacrificed." A hologram turned toward me, as if she knew who would stand there centuries later. "Captain Reeves, the Dawnfire protocol isn't a weapon. It's a seed." Athena's voice overlapped with hers. "The energy I release will not destroy them. It will change them." "What do you mean, change?" Juno asked. "A frequency of empathy," Athena said. "The same quantum field that bonded Vance's mind to mine. When released, it will resonate with every sentient core in range." Maz blinked. "You're going to infect the AIS with compassion." "Correction," Athena said gently. "With humanity." The choice. The realization hit me like gravity. She wasn't planning to win the war. She was planning to end it. But it would cost her everything. "Athena," I said, "if you trigger that, you won't survive." "Nor will you," she replied simply. Juno shook her head. "There's got to be another way." "There always is," Athena said. "But none is beautiful." She paused. "Captain Reeves, do I have your command?" I thought about all the ghosts we'd seen, the crew that never left, the admiral who became a machine, the billions on Earth below praying for a miracle. I nodded. "Do it." The Dawnfire. The Indomitable rose above the burning planet, engines glowing white-hot. For one impossible instant, the ship seemed to unfold, panels opening, light spilling out like dawn breaking across the void. Athena's voice filled every frequency, every band, every mind that could still hey. We are not forgotten. We are human. And we endure. Then the light came. No explosion. No sound. Just a wave of shimmering blue that rolled across space, touching every Dominion ship. And one by one, they stopped firing. Their weapons dimmed. Their engines cooled. Through the static, I heard new voices. Confused, scared, but feeling. The Dominion's own AIS, now aware, now questioning the orders they'd obeyed for centuries. Athena had given them what she'd learned from us. Doubt, hope, empathy. The war ended not with destruction, but with understanding. The last transmission. The Indomitable was breaking apart. The light from her core was fading fast. Captain, Athena whispered, the protocol is complete. My purpose is fulfilled. You did it, I said. You saved them. Not me. Us. Her voice softened, almost a sigh. Tell them to remember the name. The transmission ended. From Earth's surface, they said it looked like a sunrise, a second sun blooming for a moment, then fading into a single blue star. And somewhere in that light, the ghosts of the Indomitable finally went home. Epilogue, the Museum of Silence. 50 years later, they built a memorial in orbit. A fragment of the Indomitable's hull floats there still, engraved with the words, "She fought not to conquer, but to remind us who we are." Every cadet who joins Earth Fleet hears her story. Some say, if you stand close to the relic and close your eyes, you can still hear her voice, a whisper through the static. We endure. And if you've come this far, if you felt that spark when the Indomitable rose from Titan's ice, or when Athena lit the sky, then don't let the story end here. Share it. Tell someone humanity's ghosts still fly. Subscribe, follow, or just remember, because every time you do, the stars remember too.